Hello friends, in this section we are going to discuss about writing the test cases in Jira or in any Excel file or in any other bug tracking tool. We have studied till now about sprint, scrum, product elaboration, meeting, reviewing the requirements, user stories. So now after the user stories are prepared and finalized, we will be writing the test cases because the requirements are now final. So based on those requirements, we are going to write our test cases. I will show you a template of test case which is very commonly followed, and using that template or based on that template you can write the test cases in any other bug tracking tool. Like for example, I will give you example of Jira, but you can do same thing for other tools as well. Jira is the most popular project management tool. So let me show you the test case template which is commonly followed. So this is the template that I will show you. Let me zoom it a bit. Okay, so in here you are going to write firstly the project name. So let me just write down the project name here, which we are going to say as XYZ, for example. Then the login page is our module which we have been discussing since the beginning of this session. So I will be taking the example of login page only so that you can relate easily with the example. Next is the release version. So release version is when is your sprint ending and your product is being launched. So we can say this is the version 1 of the release. Test designed by, I can write my name and date on which it has been written. So you can write any date. I'm just writing any random date here. And then test executed by, again my name, and then test execution date, when was it executed. Okay, so this is what data is written for understanding the information of the test case, some basic information that it belongs to which project and which module it is covering, and all these things. Now there is a company logo section where you can put the logo of your company. Next is precondition. What is a precondition? Precondition is any condition which is required to be fulfilled before executing the test case which we are going to write now. So one example of precondition is if we want to write the test case, that is, a test case is a step which we are telling the user to follow for testing the application. So suppose I am the user, I am the tester, so I need the test steps to test the functionality. Like login page, I want to check valid username and password, and through that valid login. So this is a functionality. Now I will be writing the steps to test it. So the precondition, for example, if I want to test with a valid login scenario, then what will be that valid username and password exist. User with valid, that will be a better way to put it. So I should have already created a user with valid username and password which I can use in this test case. Does it have any kind of dependency maybe on any other application or any other content? So we can say database dependency is there, and priority of this test case is high. This is a very critical test case because a user having valid username and password should be able to successfully log in. So its priority is high. First column in this now test case is test case number, which is 1. Now we are going to write the test title. Verify that valid user is able to successfully log in. So this is going to be our test title. Okay. Next is the test summary. Test summary is just a description which you want to give for your test case. So I can write in test summary. Let me wrap this up first. Okay, so in test summary I can just write that as a valid user I want to log in successfully in the application using my credentials. Just a basic summary about what you are going to test. In the title it has to be strictly one line, and it has to be a bit summarized. But in test summary you can give some data additional related to the test case. This is a very simple test case which we are writing, so there isn't much test summary which you can give here, but if there is any need, if there's any additional information that you want to put here, put in your test case, you can just put in this test summary section. Now come the test step. This is very important because following the test steps only any other user or you yourself who is executing the test case will be writing your test cases, will be executing your test cases. So the first step, it has to be step by step. There should not be a single miss in the step. Okay, so any blindly any user should come and without even thinking they should be able to execute the test case by following your test steps. So that is very important. So first test step will be launch URL. So the URL of your application you can give here. Okay, so I'm just doing www. whatever application you want to check. Now you will add a verification step also. Verify that user has successfully reached XYZ login page, because you don't want that the application is down and you give second step that login with this username, password and all those steps, and the user who is executing this test case, he is thinking that I have not even got the login page after launching this, so how can I do the future steps? So there has to be a verification after each step. That is very important. So what you need to do is launch URL, then you can write verify that user has successfully reached this page. Once second step is also passed, then we will go to the next step. The next step here is, now we are going to write the next step. In the username, or you can just say enter valid username password in the fields. In the fields you can again mention here that username field and password field. Just I'm using the shortcuts here, short forms for username password. So enter valid username and password in the username and in the fields respectively. So it is a time consuming process to write down the test case, and you have to do it every time you are writing the test cases. You have to spend enough time to write your test cases so that later on when you are executing you can just do it in full speed without checking or reviewing anything. You can blindly follow this document. So once you have entered, then next step will be click on say submit button or login button, whatever is there. Then you can just say, and imagine that your application is not yet developed. We have only discussed the requirements till now, so you don't have any application in front of you which you can look and write your test cases. You have to visualize the data based on information which is provided to you in the user story. So based on that information you will be writing the test cases. That is very important to be kept in mind. So you have to visualize, and once the application is available to you, you might have to edit your test cases as well. Okay, so click on submit button. Once the submit button is clicked, now the final step after clicking on submit button, what needs to be displayed, that we are not going to write in this test steps only. Now we are going to write that in another section. So that will be written in the expected result, that the user should land on home page, for example. Okay, as per the requirement, it is already mentioned that the user should be landed on home page after successful login. Okay, now in test data we can provide username value abc@abc.com, just random, and password can be password. So this is our test data which we can use to test. Now there is also further column that you will see here. Next is post condition, that anything you want to add as part of this test case that will occur when you have landed on the home page. In our case we are not having any such condition, post condition. The way you have pre-condition, you have a post condition also, so we don't have anything. Next is actual result. So the column of actual result will be filled when I am actually executing the test case. So when I am running the test case, what I will do is, based on my result, I can enter that this is the user landed on home page successfully. Either I can enter this, or I can enter that user received a message, suppose a 404 message on the page. So this can also be the result, and the status of the test case in that case will be fail, and you can enter some notes as well in the test case, that any other additional information that you want to give. So friends, I hope how to write a test case is clear to you now. You can watch this video a couple of times to acquaint yourself with the way in which the test cases are written. But always keep in mind they have to be very descriptive. Don't take any shortcuts while writing the test case. So thank you for joining this session, and I'll see you in the next class.